Good evening and welcome. I am Uyai Aniekan coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. This is Spotlight Africa, brought to you by Spectrum Television and Planet Radio. Today on Spotlight Africa, Niger junta detains more government ministers. France to evacuating its citizens from Niger soon. Senegal opposition leader formally charged with insurrection. Nigerian leader details plan to ease cost of living, plus criticism over leak of Kenyatta's UK trip details. These stories are all just ahead on Spotlight Africa. Do stay with us. First in Spotlight Africa, the military junta currently in charge of Niger has reportedly detained a leading official in the ousted president's party as well as 2 more government ministers. Now, according to reports, 5 ministers are now being held. President Mohamed Bazoum himself has been held since last week when the officers seized power. The PNDs said the oil minister Mohamed Sani Mahamadou and Mining Minister Alseni Hisidatu are being held, along with the head of the party's National Executive Committee, Faramkoye Gado. The coup leaders are continuing to say they're about to be attacked, alleging without evidence that France has been considering an assault on the presidential palace to free Bazoum. In a related development, Germany says it had suspended financial aid to Niger as well as development cooperation with the jihadist hit nation following last week's coup and warned it could take further measures. A foreign ministry spokesman told newsmen that Berlin has suspended all direct support payments to the central government of Niger until further notice. The spokesperson added that the development ministry had also decided to suspend bilateral development cooperation. Meanwhile, Niger's junta has accused former colonial ruler France of wanting to intervene militarily and reinstate ousted President Mohamed Bazoum. In a statement read on national TV, the junta accused France of planning a strike on the junta with the complicity of some officials of the deposed government. It will be recalled that soldiers in the West African country announced a coup on national TV last week, saying they had dissolved the constitution and suspended all institutions and closed all borders. The coup was widely condemned, including by France, the United Nations and West African regional body ECOWAS. The junta has detained President Mohamed Bazoum inside his presidential palace in Niamey and has previously warned against foreign attempts to extract him. In the meantime, the military junta in Burkina Faso and Mali have said any forcible attempts to restore President Mohamed Bazoum in neighboring Niger will be seen as a declaration of war on them. This follows a threat from a regional bloc that it would take all measures if the president was not reinstated. Bazoum is being held by Niger's coup leaders after being ousted last week. Now, the region, threatened by an Islamist insurgency, has seen several coups in recent years. Both Burkina Faso and Mali have severe ties with the West, in particular with former colonial power France, and embraced new alliances with Russia. Their warning marks a significant twist that could escalate the volatile regional situation. Still on matters regarding to the coup, the French Foreign Ministry says it will soon start evacuating its nationals in Niger following the coup last week. It said that amid the deteriorating security situation, evacuations by air were being prepared and will take place very soon in a very limited span of time. It will be recalled that Niger President Mohamed Bazoum was overthrown last week by troops from his presidential guard after they seized power. It is the third country in the Sahel after Burkina Faso and Mali to experience a coup in less than 3 years. The incidents have been accompanied by anti-French sentiments, with the countries embracing ties with Russia. Moving away from the story in Niger, we look at Congo, where a Congolese-born French rapper Mitre James has cancelled a concert in Tunisia that was scheduled for the 11th of August. Now, in an Instagram story, the rapper cited the mistreatment of migrants for the cancellation, saying, "Children, women, men expelled from Tunisia to Libya live in inhumane conditions," adding that he cannot maintain his visit to Tunisia. Libyan guards recently rescued dozens of sub-Saharan migrants in the desert area on the border between the two countries. They said they had been dumped there from Tunisia without water, food or shelter. Reports say Tunisia has become the main departure point for migrants trying to cross the Mediterranean to Europe. In recent months, black migrants in Tunisia have faced violent attacks due to an increasingly hostile environment. Meanwhile, Tunisia's President Kais Saied has previously accused migrants of partaking in a plot to change the country's demographic profile, blaming traitors who are working for foreign countries. He later denied being racist. Moving away from that, Senegal's Interior Ministry says 2 people have been killed in the city of Zincocha during protests against the detention of the main opposition leader Ousmane Sonko. Meanwhile, the ministry did not say who had died, but urged calm and said measures were being taken to maintain stability in the country. Earlier, the government dissolved Sonko's party, accusing it of rallying its supporters towards an insurrection. It will be recalled that on Monday, Sonko appeared in court and was remanded in custody, charged with plotting an insurrection, criminal conspiracy, and other offenses. He denies the charges, saying they are politically motivated. In a related development, Senegal's opposition leader Ousmane Sonko has been formally charged with fomenting insurrection and has been placed in custody. Now, according to reports, he had also been accused of stealing the mobile phone of a Gadem whose vehicle had broken down near the politician's home and issuing a subversive message on social media. Sonko, who was arrested at his home on Friday, has denied the charges, saying they were politically motivated. Now, on Sunday, he announced he was going on hunger strike and invited all political detainees to join him. Sonko, who is very popular among unemployed youth, has undergone a meteoric political rise in the last few years. In another development, voters in the Central African Republic are awaiting the results of a constitutional referendum which President Faustin Archange Touadera hopes will end term limits. The opposition boycotted the process, which concluded with the voting on Sunday, describing it as illegal. Reports say President Touadera, who is in his final term in office, may be able to run for a 3rd term if the referendum gets enough yes votes. Meanwhile, supporters of Touadera, who is backed by the Russian Wagner Group, believe the proposed changes will help achieve stability and development in the country. But the opposition argues that it will help him secure his grip of power and become a president for life. In a separate development, reports from Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso, say bursts of gunfire have been heard in the early hours of the morning from an air base in the center of the city. A security source said the situation was under control without giving more details. The incident comes 10 months after a coup, the second in less than a year in the country, which has been battling an Islamist insurgency since 2015. It also comes nearly a week after the ousting of the elected government in neighboring Niger by the military. In a related development, civilian suffering continues unabated in war-ravaged Sudan. Reports say bombs have been raining down for days on homes and civilian neighborhoods in Nyala, the capital of South Darfur State and Sudan's second biggest city, leading many to flee their homes. Men in displacement camps said many were out in the open during the rainy season, no organization could help them, and that they feared the fighting would reach them. In the south of the capital, Khartoum, residents say paramilitary zone where civilians should not be. Sierra Leone police arrest soldiers for undermining peace. Stay tuned for details of this and more after this timeout. Light Africa. To Nigeria, one of Africa's biggest countries, President Bola Tinubu has fleshed out the details of a raft of measures to tackle the rising cost of living, which has prompted civil unrest and looting. In a televised address to the nation, Tinubu said he had ordered the release of 200,000 tons of grain from strategic reserves. He also promised to increase the minimum wage, encourage more and better paid jobs, and financial help for the farming, manufacturing and small paying of the fuel subsidy, saying it had saved Nigeria some $1.3 billion US.
Well, I would have taken that route as I came here to help, not to hurt the people. We'll fight back through every means necessary. But we are ready. Our economy is going through a tough patch, and you are being hurt by it, I know. The cost of fuel has gone up. Food and other prices have followed it. Households and businesses struggling. Things seem anxious and uncertain. I understand. I would have taken that route as I came here to help, not to hurt the people and the nation that I love so dearly. What I can offer in the immediate is to reduce the burden of current economic situation, which has imposed on all of us, most especially on businesses, the working class, and most vulnerable among us. Already, the federal government is working closely with states and local governments to implement interventions that will cushion the pains of our people across socio-economic brackets. Earlier this month, I signed 4 executive orders in keeping with my electoral promise to address unfriendly fiscal policies and multiple taxes that are stifling.
Kenya's foreign ministry has been accused of being unprofessional over the leaking of information about former President Uhuru Kenyatta and his family's trip to the UK on Wednesday. It came after a blogger linked to the government on Monday shared on social media what appeared to be a letter from the ministry to the British High Commission seeking assistance for entry visas for 16 Kenyatta family members. The blogger claimed in the social media post that they were taking a holiday to chill away from the pressure that is in Kenya following a disturbance of their family. Last week, the former president accused the government of harassing his family. He told local media that he was ready to protect them after an attempt by security officers to raid his son's residence to confiscate guns. He said his 2 sons had applied for and legally acquired 3 guns each when the security was withdrawn after the current government took over power last year. Now, Kenyatta is also reported to have told journalists last week about the upcoming trip to the UK following the incidents at his son's residence. Meanwhile, Haiti was welcomed with great interest Kenya's offer to lead a multinational force to restore order. Haiti Foreign Minister Jean-Victor Genius said he appreciated the expression of African solidarity. The Caribbean nation is suffering from a surge in gang violence and is in a deep security, political and humanitarian crisis. Earlier, Kenyan Foreign Minister Alfred Mutua said a quick fix to Haiti's problems would not be possible, but that the mission would aim to stabilize the situation and train a proper Haitian police force. Meanwhile, Mutua said the people of diaspora. In the meantime, 41 people who were rescued from a doomsday cult in Kenya earlier this year are to be charged alongside the leader with murder and other offenses. Prosecutors say the victims turned suspects were parents or grandparents of children who died or are missing and allege that they were culpable for what happened to them. The cult's leader, Paul Mackenzie, is accused of encouraging his followers to starve themselves to death to enter heaven before the world ended. Police investigating the apparent mass suicide have so far exhumed over 400 bodies from the Shakola forest in southeastern Kenya. Meanwhile, more than 600 people are still missing. Elsewhere, Sierra Leonean police have arrested several people, including unnamed senior military officers, for working to undermine the peace and tranquility of the state. In a statement, police said those arrested were planning violent protests between the 7th and the 10th. They said they were fully in control and urged Sierra Leoneans to remain peaceful and go about their normal business. Unease has gripped the West African country since the controversial re-election of President Julius Maada Bio on the 24th of June. On the 5th of July, Bio accused Western countries of creating confusion in the country after they expressed concern over the conduct of June's elections. The country has enjoyed relative peace since the end of an 11-year-long civil war in 2002. Lastly, on Spotlight Africa, the exact location of what is thought to be the first English slave fort in Africa may have been found. The newsmen have been hearing about the significance of the discovery in Ghana. Short presentational grey line taking care, archaeologist Christopher Dicos spreads the rare artifacts out on a makeshift table near the dig site. A gun flint used in old-fashioned guns, tobacco pipes, broken pottery, and the jawbone of a goat are carefully laid out. These discarded fragments unearthed from centuries of compacted soil offer clues to a lost past. Well, this has been Spotlight Africa, brought to you by Spectrum Television, a recap of stories around Africa. We also brought you this news piece from Planet Radio. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng, and also follow us on planetradio.ng. My name is Uyai Aneke, and thanks for being a part of this, and do enjoy the rest of your evening.